Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we are back with another Manchester United tactical preview. Of course, this weekend playing Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford, and you know, the club's in a bit of an interesting state at the moment. There's kind of a negative vibe and kind of feel about the club. Today I want to tell you how Manchester United can kind of put a positive spin on it and come away with a win this weekend. But before we do that, once again, in the description, I do have a link to a Just Giving page. I am trying to raise money for Macmillan cancer support, so if you could make any sort of donation using that link in the description down below, it would be greatly appreciated. But in terms of for today's video, let's get into it. Let's talk about Erik ten Hag and how I think he can set up from a tactical point of view to win this game. And we're going to go initially with this starting 11. We've got obviously Onana in goal, Luke Shaw, Lisandro Martinez, Rafael Varane. I'm going to bring Dalot into the side. We've then got Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen in for the injured Mason Mount. We've moved Rashford to the left wing, Jadon Sancho up front, and Antony on the right wing. However, I would make a serious argument for Facundo Pellistri maybe playing on the right wing. I think he's got a real shout. And also, I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see Martial play up front or Garnacho on the left wing. Those are, of course, things that we could well see in terms of the starting 11. But I think this is just about what I would go for. Like I said, maybe the young Uruguayan coming in on the right wing. But let's kind of get away from the starting 11. What is the approach from this game? What are Nottingham Forest going to do? How can United counter it? Well, we can see here, Nottingham Forest will be set up in a 5-2-3 shape, which looks a little bit like this, although at times it might represent more of a 5-4-1. And it seems unlikely that they're going to be super aggressive in the way that they press. There's a chance they do it. If they think it's a United weakness, they might do it. But typically they aren't a high pressing side. So they might start in a sort of like high engaged position like this. But I think United should, in this game, have a decent amount of joy playing their way out from the back. More so than they did against Wolves and Spurs also. I think United will be able to move the ball from the back in these areas. From this point, Forest will be defensive. They will be compact, and it's going to be about, can you break them down? Can you be patient? Can you keep the ball? Can you cycle it into different positions? And what is the best way to do that? Now, the approach to doing this might be a little bit different to what you would typically expect up against a front three. But the reason for this is because all three players will defend quite narrow, but also, again, quite passively. And when you have the ball in these areas, rather than coming out and really applying pressure to the ball, they will use more of a shadow press to make sure they've got Casemiro marked in this area. Or for example, if Dalot had the ball here, Gibbs White would be in a position where he's kind of closing the ball a little bit, but also stopping Bruno Fernandes getting the ball. So in my opinion, the best way to kind of approach this from a United point of view is to push Luke Shaw higher up the pitch and move to more of a back three. Now this might sound a little bit odd, because we're facing a front three. Normally I would ask for an overload in this position, so a back three doesn't actually naturally provide that. But again, because these players are passive, I think it is fine. I think it's okay. From here, I would then go for a box shape in the midfield, like this, with Bruno Fernandes pushing high in this half space here, give Marcus Rashford the freedom to move in this left half space here, and push Luke Shaw further up the pitch on the left-hand side. It's not ideal having your fullback as your main width provider, but I think it will be good and do a good job in this particular match. So the question is, from here, United have got possession. They should be able to control it as long as the players aren't complete idiots. So the question from here is, how do you progress the ball forward? Now, typically one way that I would suggest you progress the ball forward is by having your wide centre-back step forward with the ball into these areas and look to fire passes into dangerous areas. But I'm not actually going to suggest that for this game, and the reason is this. The Nottingham Forest players are again very good at using the shadow press. So if Lisandro Martinez from this position was to step out here and look to play the ball, Brennan Johnson, for example, would do a really good job of the shadow press, stopping the ball from going to Christian Eriksen. Someone like Danilo in midfield would tie up Marcus Rashford, and we can see that Luke Shaw is marked as well. So I don't actually think there is an immediately obvious benefit of stepping forward in this way. Arsenal kind of had a similar problem against Forest in the opening weekend of the season. Early in the game, Jurrien Timber was stepping forward down the left-hand side, but kind of finding that actually he was almost just overcrowding important areas of the pitch. So that isn't the best method of progression for United. Instead, I think the better solution is to have players dropping outside of the shape. So someone else dropping into this area. So for example, it could be Luke Shaw. If you push Marcus Rashford high on the left-hand side, you could have Luke Shaw drop into this position and receive the ball. Because Forest won't want to vacate this kind of position and territory in the middle of the pitch. Danilo, for example, he doesn't want to go all the way out here and pressure Luke Shaw for pretty obvious reasons. It's going to leave a lot of space in behind him in the midfield. So this is how you can hurt Forest. Play kind of outside of their defensive structure and move the ball forward in these wider areas. you can do the same also down the other side of the pitch as well, quite comfortably. So when Dalot has the ball here, push Antony a little bit higher, kind of pin the Nottingham Forest backline back like this, and that will be an important job of the wide players in this game, pinning Forest back. But then can Bruno Fernandes drop into this wide position here to receive the pass? Because Gibbs White suddenly, he can't cut this passing lane and also this one. He can't do both jobs. So someone like Bruno Fernandes should then be able to receive the ball, get on the turn and play forward. And again, someone like Mangala, he's not going to want to come out here because it just leaves far too much space in the middle. So this is a genuine way in which United can progress the ball forward pretty effectively, pretty easily, pretty efficiently. Move the ball forward in the wide areas, kind of progress up the pitch. United from here have territory. You can even progress it further as well though by using the same strategy. Because once this ball has gone wide to someone like Bruno Fernandes, you can then have rotations in the middle of the pitch to potentially turn this into more of a diamond in midfield rather than the box. So for example, Rashford on the far side would of course come a little bit more central to get closer to the ball, but perhaps you could then have one of your double pivot make the run further forward as well. So it could be Casemiro at times, with Eriksen dropping a little bit deeper. Casemiro kind of pushing forward into these positions. You're going to really overload those two Forest midfielders, especially because Bolly and McKenna don't like to step out. Worrell, he's happy to do it in the middle. He's happy to follow Sancho into these areas. But the wide centre-backs, they don't want to vacate the space in behind, so they will not be particularly aggressive in stepping forward. Of course, they'll do it on occasion. They're defenders at the end of the day. They will do it. But in terms of a regular theme during the game, it's unlikely that they regularly want to pounce out and be aggressive. So suddenly, United can really overload this area of the pitch. Because Casemiro, again, can drag someone like Mangala further back towards his own goal. This can open up space for someone like Christian Eriksen to receive inside in a deeper pivot position. Or even Jadon Sancho could now take advantage of dropping in here. Now, like I said, Worrell might follow him into these areas, but that suddenly opens up potential for off-the-ball runners. So again, there would be an element of caution to his game. And it's why I think you can quickly create these situations where you have 5 players in the midfield at times against only 2 players if you move the ball quick enough. Now, again, obviously in time, Gibbs White will cover the ground and track back. Brennan Johnson will do the same. But if United move the ball quickly once the ball has gone wide initially, so move this ball wide and then quickly go inside the pitch, either to a runner, someone like Marcus Rashford on the other side, or playing inside to Jadon Sancho, or to Casemiro, or to Eriksen, it could then allow United to move the ball out wide, come inside, and then you've got like the picture in front of you. Because once Christian Eriksen picks the ball up in this position, you can have runners. It might be Luke Shaw down the left-hand side, it might be Marcus Rashford, it might be Sancho, Casemiro, Antony, Bruno Fernandes can come back into this position. It really opens up the pitch and allows United to progress the ball. So as long as United are patient and take their time on the ball, have a good first touch and a good weight of pass, United should be able to dominate, and they also should be able to move the ball forward. Again, it's about exploiting these wide positions and then moving inside the pitch. It should give United territory. The question is, how do you actually break Forest down and score the goals, really? So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order. Now this last point is a little bit less straightforward because that Forest back 5 is super compact, they're super stubborn and genuinely difficult to break down. If you remember the Arsenal game the other week where they won 2-1, Arsenal had a moment of brilliance from Martinelli and Nketiah, and then also Bukayo Saka for the other goal was absolutely incredible with his finish from range. So even Arsenal, a team who are very, very good in the Premier League, found it difficult to break this Forest side down, and it's because they have clear quality. They've spent a lot of money on the squad, and therefore they are a rigid team. It's not easy to score against them. However, I still think there's areas in where United can create key overloads and hurt this team, particularly, again, in the centre of the pitch. Forest are one of the few teams which set up with a 2-man midfield, so I think you can hurt that. Even if, for example, on occasions Brennan Johnson and Gibbs White want to drop super deep and really help out in these areas, I still think that you can get this 3 here of Marcus Rashford, Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, either side of Mangala and Danilo. Kind of creating this overload, this 5 here, can hurt that team. You've got a 3-1-5-1 shape. It can really overload this line of the Forest defence. Now, of course, in situations like this, rotations are important. I don't always want Marcus Rashford in this position. At times I want him wide with Luke Shaw inside. At times I want Christian Eriksen in this area, Shaw here. Maybe Marcus Rashford is the most central player. Maybe at times Eriksen dropping deeper to get again outside of that shape. rotations will be important. These rotations, of course, once again, allow you to ask different questions, pull the opposition about, and get them moving into different positions. For example, if Christian Eriksen drops deep outside of the shape here, or even Lisandro Martinez is playing higher, and Eriksen gets the ball in this sort of position, it asks questions. As I'm Danilo, do I come out and pressure him, or do I leave him? Willy Bolly, is it my job to step in? It can't be the job of Aurier, because then you've got the run of Luke Shaw. It really asks questions, different questions of the team. And I think if United use this player, this middle player in this bank of 5 here, whoever it may be, at times Bruno Fernandes, at times Rashford, at times Eriksen, if that player is given the license to overload ball side, United could have some real threat. For example, if Marcus Rashford now drifts into this sort of position, and is able to pick up the ball and isolate Willy Bolly in a potential 1 versus 1 situation, that's where United has some real fortune. And that's why in this game I like the idea of Marcus Rashford starting on the left hand side rather than as a striker. Give him a bit of freedom to get on the ball and make something happen, because he is the sort of player which can just fire a shot in from 25 yards out of nothing. He's very capable of doing that. But he's also capable of picking the ball up in this sort of situation, wiggling his way through 2 players, getting into the box, and again providing a direct threat at goal. The unpredictability almost of Marcus Rashford could be really useful in this position. We could also see a lot of success for someone like Bruno Fernandes. When United are getting in this 5 shape like this, the 5 behind the front line, let's say Danilo wants to be aggressive on Eriksen here, and Mangala wants to do the same on Marcus Rashford, which would make sense. If United are able to cycle the ball backwards and then get it to Bruno Fernandes, there are spaces in these half spaces from where you can then hurt Forest. Now, United don't have tons of aerial threat in the box, which is a bit of a problem. Hopefully someone like Rasmus Højlund could come on late in the game, there are talks of that. But I'm not sure aerial balls are the best route, apart from maybe Bruno Fernandes over the top for Marcus Rashford. There could be a strategy there. But again, it's going to be more about being patient in the final third, pulling players into different positions. Can Antony get the ball in this wide situation? Can he take on his man and get the ball into the box? Or can he cut back and then we see a run from someone like Bruno Fernandes? Or if Bruno Fernandes can't get the ball directly, can he make the run which drags McKenna, which opens up the room for Casemiro, for example, to come into? Can he then be adventurous as Sancho comes towards the ball and Rashford spins in behind? United's combinations need to be good, and this is where, from a tactical point of view, in terms of me here on the channel, there's not too much I can talk about because these are patterns of play which need to be worked on in training. This isn't something you can just kind of come up with on the day and it works. So Erik ten Hag will need to have been putting in the work on the training ground. Hopefully he has been. But in terms of the overall match in general, I think United should be fine moving the ball out from the back. I don't think that will be too much of a problem. Forest might make me eat my words, but we'll see. In the middle third, kind of the second phase of the pitch, I think Manchester United again will dominate. They should have majority of the ball. They should have territory. They should have possession, as long as the players are sensible, patient on the ball, and play like they did in the first half against Spurs. United should be fine in that aspect. They should also be able to progress the ball. Like I said, getting outside of this Forest structure into positions like this before they're moving the ball in field. The question is then, can United come up with that little bit of magic which is often needed at the top level to break a team like Forest down? That part we just have to wait and see. We know Luke Shaw and Christian Eriksen are more than capable of combining for a bit of magic. We know that Marcus Rashford can produce something. We know that Antony, on his day, can cut in and bend a shot towards goal. Bruno Fernandes is capable of the most ridiculous stuff, and Jadon Sancho's kind of quick feet in tight areas could be very important. But, like I said, that's all stuff that we just kind of have to wait and see. Wait and see if the work has been done on the training ground. Wait and see if the players are sharp enough to make those patterns happen. But in terms of overall, as a game, in terms of Manchester United in possession, this is how I think it will go and how I think United should approach the game. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you completely disagree? Would you change the starting 11? Should Wan-Bissaka play at right back? Should Facundo Pellistri be on the right hand side? Should Garnacho be in the team? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, check out that Just Giving link to help support Macmillan Cancer Support. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.